Number 8. Number 3, 3, 3, 3. Number 4, 4, 4. Five. Number 5, 5. Number 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. Green.
Hi, Peggy. How are you? I'm good. I'm good. Just getting out our calendars.
I got
E5.
registered today.
Awesome.
Got him in a hotel.
Very cool. We that was the right page.
So you feel comfortable with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely the right page.
Good.
So I'm fine.
E5, number 5.
I think he will enjoy it.
Check.
There are a couple of sessions that he'll be attending. It's on the website. Those corrections are on there.
See, I bought this last night.
Sometimes I'm
B5. B5?
I'm just
No, B1.
same way when I was.
Hold on.
You know, it's just,
B5.
That's for me.
B5 now.
But I have one too. Oh, you said it's from you.
Check. B1, B1.
Thank you.
I just got to have her do that. Just got to have her rate.
Check 1, 2. Check.
I'm just trying to
Anybody come back?
And you know, I need another one.
good.
Check 1, 2. Check. Red. Check. Red. Podium, check. A bit of range.
ain't no one way, I know there's several ways to do it. I know one way to do it.
I know.
So it's the one I use. There it is.
Oh. All right, we'll call to order the Kansas City, Kansas Community College Board of Trustee meeting, December 18, 2018. We'll be led into the Pledge of Allegiance by Christine McGee.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we'll have roll call.
Trustee Ash,
Here.
Trustee Brown,
Here.
Trustee Criswell,
Here.
Trustee Daniels,
Here.
Trustee Garner,
Here.
Trustee McIntyre.
Here.
Trustee Sutton.
Here.
Thank you. We have Trustee Criswell on the phone with us today, and so we have a full board here this evening. All right, may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
One moment, please. I wanted to have something added to unfinished business for today's agenda, and this would be the item, it would be from the previous board meeting, and it is the AOS contract, because I know that we had agreed that the contract would be sent back to AOS Cisco so that they could include the language for non-disclosure and insurance information.
All right, so we want to,
Could we add that to unfinished business, please?
yes, an update? All right.
Yes, please.
We will do that.
Yes, yes,
All right.
please. Thank you.
I have a motion. Is anyone second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries with the inclusion of the AOS and the unfinished business. All right, do we have anyone in the audience, to patrons and petitioners, that would like to speak today?
Hello, my name's Robert Myers, and I got concerned this morning. I was told that one of the focus groups that you guys want at the college is 30 and above. And I went to school here in 1984, 1986 to 1992. One of my grades that I took, or classes that I took 30 years ago in everything, is now a class that I need for nursing. And I got a C in it, and so I'm stripped of honors 30 years later if I take the class, repeat the class, in order to get into the program and everything. I could understand that in a way because, yeah, it gives me a second bite at the apple, but on my science classes that I took 30 years ago, you guys made me repeat every one of them, which you have to repeat after 7 years. So I feel that there should be a statute of limitations as far as whether, I mean, people are one way when they're 18 and a totally different way when they're 50 and everything. And I feel that there should be a statute of limitations as far as how long out the classes can be. I understand if you got a C and then you were like, I can do better the next semester. I understand something like that. But when it's 30 years later and everything, and you want to take the class over, and also part of your degree is going to be in psychology, and if you can't even have general psychology to begin with, and I know that some of my friends will have the same problems. I've already advised 2 of my friends to go elsewhere because they were going to have to repeat a class, and I told them if you do that, they'll strip you of honors and everything. And I think that's a concern that we should address here at the school, because if you want a lot of the people that you will get that are interested at 30 and above have had schooling in the past, but they need to have a refresher course on that particular class, on one of the classes that they've taken years before. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you for bringing that comment to us. Just to provide a little additional explanation with that, programs that are healthcare related in nature do have a time limit on them for the sciences, because it's very important for people who are pursuing a degree in a healthcare related field that they have fresh knowledge of anatomy and physiology and other courses such as that. So across the nation and even across the globe in healthcare programs, there is a there's a time frame on how long grades for science classes do exist. The other class, which is not a physical body science class with your psychology, there's currently a policy in place that states that if you repeat a class that was not failed previously or below a C, then that eliminates an individual from receiving honors for the items that you mentioned. So, and then after the conversation and your and I emails exchanged, I did take that communication and I passed it along to individuals in student affairs, and we are revisiting that. So we thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Another thing, which
You have to come back to the mic. Come back to the mic.
is the fact that there are 3 classes that the nursing program requires. They are human anatomy and physiology, they are human development, and they are psychology. So what good is it to retake these science classes if you can't even get in the door to get to these science classes in the first place? So that's why my psychology for me is so important, is because it's one of the 3 classes that the school has for a requirement in order to get into the nursing program.
Thank you. And I believe we are looking into it, so we'll get back with you on that matter. Thank you. All right. We'll move to board committee reports. Do we have any reports today that we'd like to share?
Yeah, the Finance Committee met last week, and just some of the things I'm sure that more of this will be brought up later on in this meeting, but some of the things that I'd like to point out that were brought up was the police department. The president assured us that they're still assessing the needs of the police department, so that's an ongoing process. The summer youth program was brought up, and trying to get ahead of that this year to make sure that that program is adequately funded going into the summer for our youth, something that we've done for a while. So the president is going to look at that as well. We also had a bus donated to us, and that bus is going to be looked at as far as how the college could best utilize that bus that will best suit our needs. We also talked about the barn. If any of you have been over, there's that barn old wash center by the tech center. Dr. Mosier, our president, also indicated that he is assessing needs as well, and will make a determination at some point on the exact usage for that facility moving forward. So looking forward to see what that decision is going to be. We also talked about if anybody's looked around the campus, it's really coming together as far as some of the things when you talk about capital improvements, when you look at just paint and beautification, and now if you come into the college, you're seeing in the signage really come into play, and it's really making the college look good. And so we're also looking at some planners and some continued improvements to the college as far as the front entryway. The daycare was also a topic. Dr. Mosier, do you want to?
It's on the.
It's on the agenda?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The daycare is also a topic, and that'll be brought up later. We also talked about the cost-benefit analysis, or the concept when we talk about enrollment. How can we increase enrollment? And we talked about tuition, and the consensus is that we're right where we need to be in a competitive standpoint when we talk about our tuition and how that impacts our enrollment. So those were pretty much the sum of the majority of things that really stood out in the Finance Committee meeting, unless there's any questions.
Questions? Thank you.
Just from ACCT and KACCT, first of all,
the State Association had its quarterly meeting the first Sunday and Monday in December in Indianapolis. Independence Community College.
I don't know where he went, but I didn't go there.
Well, we were racing to get down there.
Yeah.
So, majority of the topics centered around preparing for the state legislative session and what is our legislative agenda going to be and so on and so forth. So to that end, a reminder that our board will be meeting with USD 500 board for a legislative breakfast in January, I think the 11th.
January 11th.
So with the Wyandotte County Legislative Delegation. Prior to that, that's on a Friday, I believe.
Right.
On that Monday evening of that week, January the 7th, from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at the South Branch Library in Argentine, the Wyandotte County Delegation is having a open
Community.
community forum. So if you wanted a little precursor to hear what they might have to say, to see if there's anything, then on the 11th, when we're in a more appropriate venue, we might want to talk specifically with them about. I plan to attend, both those events, the 7th and the 11th. So, and then we are finalizing preparation for ACCT National Legislative Summit in Washington, D.C., February 10th through 13th.
Right.
And Dr. Mosier and I and a student are going, and who else is going?
Right.
Dr. Daniels is going. Okay, all right. So, pardon me?
I may.
You may. Okay. All right, so I will begin setting the appointments then with the representatives and the senators, for when we do the Capitol Hill visits. And we'll try to get those all lined out. Vance, we have 2 new representatives. Although Representative Steve Watkins is not ours specifically, he certainly is for Leavenworth. And because of our Pioneer Center, we definitely will want to visit with him. And then Sharice Davids will be replacing Kevin Yoder. And so I'm working, or I will work with Congressman Yoder's office to find out how we, get that, when we can, they might have staff available, we could start setting those appointments, because usually we would have them done by now if there were no changes. So we'll follow up that, and we'll be ready, for February. And then that Tuesday evening of that week will be the KCKCC legislative reception in the evening that we will host at the Capitol, and we'll get more details from Linda Fund on that, final details before we go. So that's it.
All right, any questions? Any other reports? You didn't meet this month, right? Policies didn't meet this month?
We did not meet.
Okay, all right. All right, thank you very much. Now, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
If you have a question.
Chairman Brown, on the consent agenda, item B, consent agenda B, I should say, item 5, could we remove that and vote on that separately, please?
Okay, so we'll remove item B.
5, just 5.
Item 5,
Just
okay.
item
All
5 from B.
5.
Yes, from consent agenda B.
Okay. Can I have a motion on the agenda except for item B, consent, number 5?
So moved.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Do you want to? Okay, now we need a vote on item 5. Can I get a motion to?
And I'm going to recluse myself from voting on that one.
Okay.
All right. I need a motion to vote on item 5, approve the item 5. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second? Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve item 5 with abstention from trustee Sutton. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Now, we will have our own Aaliyah Shaw, who was the president of the college for a whole day. She'll give us our student senate report.
It's like maybe I should be number 8 on the agenda there.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
See, I knew when we took her to Washington last year.
Yeah.
She got bit, that was it. She got bit.
I keep coming to my office and she's in there in the morning.
Okay, how was everyone?
Wonderful.
Great.
Good. The weather was nice today. Like what? Like snow? Would
Is
never.
the Senate responsible for that?
Yep. Ever since I was president for a day, I'm just keep coming. Okay, so just to get started, what I'm going to be focusing on mostly is, of course, Student Senate, but I also want to focus on what the clubs and organizations have been doing this semester, just to recap for you all. So to begin, I call this semester sort of the semester first because we did a lot of things that typically haven't happened or has not happened on this campus. And to begin, I will start with how we hosted 2 Senate meetings in Lower Jewel, one of them including Dr. Mosier due to the president's swap on November 28th. So that was very, very interesting. And so during that day, I met with a lot of administration as well as faculty, staff specifically here on campus, and I also was able to meet with community leaders. And something interesting about that is that we visited the Wyandotte County Health Foundation. And what I found from there is that their organization was built from a grant from Bethany Hospital where I was born. And so I learned so much that day about my own history, how they utilize grants to help with organizations and help with like clinics that my own family benefits from. And so just to learn a glimpse of that about Wyandotte County, since I've lived here my whole entire life, was very, very interesting. And so throughout the day, I was able to talk to some amazing people who are in this room and learn more about what their role is and how they contribute specifically to our campus environment. And so I felt very included. And so I think that's one of the most important things about the presidential swap is that I felt included. I felt as if the students, consistently had a seat at the table, but more so that day. And I also was on 38th the spot due to Dr. Mosier, and it was an amazing segment. And so I want to thank, of course, Tammy, Rosella, Peggy, and everyone that got to interact with me that day because I learned so much. And I, of course, want to thank Dr. Mosier for the opportunity because it was definitely once in a lifetime. It was the first time. And we actually started a proclamation that confirmed that we're going to do this every year now. And so just to start that tradition, to be the first one a part of that tradition is really important. So that was amazing. So to continue about some of the first we have is related to the candle lighting ceremony, which is the oldest standing tradition in Wyandotte County and on this campus. But this was the first year that students specifically created and started scholarship funds directly from the students to other students to benefit from. And we ended up giving a $600 check, and we, of course, want to start building from there. And what was interesting is that the way in which we built fund was around student participation. So it would be like 50 cents for something that we have at an event, or it would be if you play pool in the game room, it costs 50 cents. And so as they played throughout the semester, it was accumulating funds as well as donations. And so just for them participating here on campus and interacting, they were able to directly move funds to other students. And one thing I found about that is that it's not only helping students like us, but also students that maybe look like their parents or students that are part of their family, future generations, students that are younger than them. So it was amazing to start that. And so now every year, the proceeds from the game room will specifically go to student scholarships. And so that was amazing to start. And yeah, another first, which is our last first, but it's very important, is that we now have a running student government or student senate president on the Pioneer Career Center. That's been very, very important. They have a voice. They're also going to go on our retreat in the spring, basically where we recap the semester and work on more agendas and also the Constitution for the up and coming school year. And so I think it's important for them to have a voice. They've been to multiple student senate meetings throughout the semester, and so it was nice to have that included voice and that presence here on campus, and to let them know that though they're a subcommittee or a sub-student senate, their voice is very much important to the campus environment overall. And so that's just a few things this semester. I know that was a lot, but we're just going to keep it going because we did some great things. So in relation to College Senate, we participated in multiple College Senate meetings, and we specifically had about 5 club representatives attend that meeting. And so they're always happy to be there to learn about the campus environment. And what's very interesting is that it's really representative of every governing body. And we speak about that a lot in Student Senate, this idea of shared governance and like how we collaborate with other functioning bodies on campus. But the students being there and being a part of that, they really live that and see what that looks like here on campus. So that's been really good. Additionally, we had another event this semester specific to the finals breakfast, and we had approximately 250 students, staff, and faculty attend, so that's always nice to give. Another community event that we had was the Breakfast with Santa, which was on December 8th, and we served 330 people, and that was about 158 students with their children. 33 staff and their children, and 139 community people and their children as well. And so, additionally, another event that we held was today, actually, which was the Toys for Tots. And so we provided jewelry, food, and toys to families and students that specifically signed up to participate. And so it was in collaboration with Student Advocacy, Honors, Phi Theta Kappa, and student activities, and it was a great event. It was nice to interact with everyone. But I think one of the biggest benefits of that is that we can collaborate and create more and do more for our students while working together. And so to see so much participation was really, really nice. And just to focus a little bit more on what our specific clubs are doing. So our drama club, they participated with their theater department in the candle lighting ceremony. They're preparing to go on a club trip to South Dakota to attend a theater conference, and there's about 15 students participating. The International Student Organization held many events throughout the semester that was very culturally informative as well as politically and socially informative to students, and they also participated in the 2018 candle lighting ceremony. Another club is Transfer Club. They hosted a pizza takeover with K-State and collaborated with other community colleges as well as like other universities and colleges around here. And then Phi Theta Kappa, they're preparing for the Campus Wonderland Toys for Tots, and so that was in reference to today. And then we have another club that's up and coming, which is the Gamer Club, and they're preparing for the Blue Devil Gamer Con to be held in spring, which is around April 26th, April 27th at KCKCC. And so as this next semester comes around, we have so much planned. We also gave the new schedule for next semester in advance just to show you all that everything's already set. And so a few other things that the Student Senate did was attend the ASAC conference in November. And what we learned from there was a lot of leadership aspects, learning about members and how to get more buy-in. And as leaders, one of the biggest things they taught us was that we sometimes have to meet students and other people where they are to get that retention, to get that buy-in, and to get that participation. And I feel that's really helped our leadership style in general and allowed us to basically go to other students to help them where they are, to get them to participate and see the benefit of that participation here on campus. And additionally, this has definitely been for our students in it. One of the most challenging semesters academically, socially, and as well as like mentally, but we learned a lot about interacting with students from all ages and learning about how to go to the students from where they are. And so I can definitely say that I don't think I would ever had so many important experiences without the leadership here and without the team that I've had this semester. So I definitely want to thank you all for listening, participating, and just being there for the students this semester, because we see everyone that interacts with us, we say hello, and it doesn't go unnoticed, definitely. So I just want to say horns up, because that's our theme for 2018, and to definitely have a great holiday break. And next semester, we're doing bigger, better things, so we're excited to communicate that with you all. So have a great break. Thanks.
Thank you. Sounds like you've been busy. All right, can I?
Sorry,
Uh-oh.
always do this. Y'all got any questions? Sorry.
Any questions for her?
Who invented the horns up, and does it come with a?
Okay, this is actually a really interesting story. So our student senate executive, Joaquin, he's been here for some time, and he's been trying to get horns up for 2 years. And he's never gotten it as our student slogan, but it finally got passed. And we're working on creating T-shirts, so look out for those. And so it was nice to include that. So that was really special for him, because he is going to be leaving in spring semester, so it was nice to get that. And it was a pretty good one, so everyone agreed. So easy hashtag, so yeah. Yep.
Great job.
Yeah. Okay, anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job. If everybody comes back from Washington, D.C. like that, I don't know. Can I get a motion to accept the Student Senate report?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the report. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Now, we'll have the other president's report.
I get that a lot.
Dr. Mosher.
Oh, goodness. So President Shaw, what a great report. And we did the president swap is November 28th, and I just have to say what a great job Aaliyah did. Just incredible. We all know how articulate she is already, but she represented the college so well, so just so proud of her with that. And for me, it was an opportunity to reconnect with the student experience, even if it were for just a day. 8 o'clock, honors, biology, American history. Oh yes. So I'm hoping that you passed your finals after I was in your class. Barely, maybe. But no, we it was a great experience, and we do plan to do it again next year and make it an annual event. And we got great coverage with it for the college on Channel 41 as well. Also, I was looking forward into the marketing and outreach report, some pretty amazing Twitter analytics on a lot of those posts, so that was fun. So also, one of the things I want to do is try and continue ways to increase communication within the college and to the community. So with the help from Matt and IT and Tammy Bartunik, we did create the President's blog, and we finally got it up and running about 2 weeks ago. So not only does it go to the campus community and anyone that wants to sign on to it also goes to the community at large. So please feel free to share that with anyone in town that you think that might be interested. In the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks maybe, we've had 353 visitors. Over 1,000 views of the different web pages, and just a lot of good interactivity with that. So I thank the group that made that happen. Continuing to work on partnerships, in Wyandotte County and in Leavenworth. So a lot of my time I spent in Leavenworth this last month, meeting with individuals up there and the military and business social event for the Chamber of Commerce, and the Leavenworth and Lansing Economic Development Group, and we have really strong support in Leavenworth for what we're doing as a college, and that just speaks very well to the work that everyone here in front of you is doing. We also received information that our final Pell full drawdown for FY18 is in, and we did have full drawdown on that. And we supported our students with $8,108,408.80. So very, very good. So a lot of hard work by our financial aid office and to keep all of that straight and working with our students. So much appreciated helping our students and helping our community and the economic impact that we have. Yesterday, we received news, and it was on TV, that Vatterott College had closed. So this morning, early in the morning, we put together kind of a rapid response team to address that. There's 2 Vatterott locations within the Kansas City metro area, and we've been reaching out to that, to individuals that we can there. We've done a large social media blast, letting those students know who all of a sudden their doors are closed on them, that the opportunities are not closed. And KCKCC is here to help. We've made the decision to go ahead and offer them in-state tuition to help with those costs that they may have. We'll be reaching out. The programs are doing an analysis of the Vatterott curriculum, how it aligns to ours, and how can we award credit to help those students achieve their goals. Things are busy going on in Kansas and in Missouri, so I do have a connection with Missouri Commission for Higher Education. So I reached out with them, and we will be added to their list of colleges who will be represented as individuals who are wanting to help these students. And we're looking at doing some other things as well. So just really trying to help our students and our community achieve their educational goals. Probably the last thing that I have is the strategic plan, and I think I will just defer that because we have that later in the presentation and probably with Vice President Beach's report.
Okay. Any questions? Get a motion to accept the report?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the president's report. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Marketing and Community Outreach Officer report.
Okay, hello everybody.
Hello.
So I'm going to talk fast because I have some visual aids today to show you. Picture's worth 1,000 words, right? So quick update, Family Fund. We kicked this off earlier this year with about 3% of our internal family giving. We're now up to 20%. So really good growth. We had some competitions around campus. Yeah, here you are. Yes, yes. I'd like to report that someone is winning. One of the female deans. Chiefs. We worked with the Chiefs this year to sell discounted Chief tickets, and I do think that we helped Mahomes, fill those seats because of that. So we raised $1,800 through this new initiative. Great. Giving Tuesday, we kicked off Giving Tuesday this year really very strategically. We had some commitments from community members, and we'll show you, that's one of the visuals I'm going to show you here in a little bit. So this year we raised a little over $1,000 versus last year about $200, and that was last year was the first attempt at the college doing a Giving Tuesday campaign. So I'm really excited to see that bump up. Save the date, of course, for Hall of Fame coming up April 27th. If you haven't bought your tickets or your table, please do so. Please tell your friends and neighbors. We have tickets available for sale and sponsorships as well.
She's
President.
done that before.
Let me see. And as Dr. Mosier had indicated, we have had some great bumps in our social media. All of them are up. Facebook, Twitter. We've had some great engagement. We've reached, on one of the Kansas City Chiefs posts, it reached over 1,800 people. Our Giving Tuesday reached more than 1,400 people. So we're having some really, really good engagement. And you have all the numbers in the packet there. And also, someone mentioned Leavenworth. I forget who it was. I'm sorry. Marketing in Leavenworth. And last time I reported, we had discussion about having the billboards up and running, and now they are up and running. You have a photo of the billboard in your packet. Nice. So really excited about that. So if I could ask Randy's team to show the videos quick. We have a Giving Tuesday video to share in case you hadn't seen it, as well as the interview from the presidential swap on Kansas City Live.
All right. I think it's both.
Maybe.
There we go.
One of the things I'm most thankful about Kansas City, Kansas Community College, quite frankly, is exposure. KCKCC was my first exposure into college. I recall as though it was yesterday. I was a high school student. My teacher let me know I had the opportunity to take night classes, and even during the daytime to leave from Wyandotte High School and go to the college. It was then in my senior year that I realized that I was smart enough for the classroom. I was able to get a college education despite what many had said to me. It was this exposure, this first encounter, that quite frankly, assist in changing the trajectory of where my life would ultimately go. What am I thankful for? I'm thankful that KCKCC opened the doors to students, even high school students, in the inner city and gave them an opportunity to do more than what their surroundings said they were able to do.
I'm thankful for all the generous donors to the Kansas City, Kansas Community College because without them knowing, they have helped all of us who receive scholarship believe in ourselves, make a difference in our society, complete our dreams, teach our family that we can do it, and be free with our education. Thank you for all your support because we will not take this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Andrika Wilcoxon, and I'm the Director of Student Activities. And I am thankful for the opportunity that Kansas City, Kansas Community College gives our students to discover, develop, and to deploy their gifts and talents here on our campus and for their future educational journeys.
We are thankful for alumni, sponsors,
community partners,
faculty, staffs,
students, and donors like you
who support Kansas City, Kansas
Community College Foundation in so many ways.
Do you guys want to see the KC Live? It's about 3 minutes. Do you want to see that?
Sure.
Yes? Yes. Hit it, Randy. And Aaliyah might be in it, I'm just saying.
What happens when a college president and student body president swap places for a day? Well, KCKCC did just that. I've got Tammy Bartunik and Dr. Greg Mosier here. They're both here to talk about this really special swap that you guys did. How fun! How much fun was this for you to be a part of?
Oh, Crystal, it was a lot of fun. You know, it gave me an opportunity to get back in touch with the student experience while I was going through and taking her classes and taking notes, and it gave the student senate president, who was the one that we swapped with, a really unique opportunity to see what it's like in the day in the life of a president.
Well, that's right, and we're going to see here in a little bit, but she's interested in maybe working in policy or impacting policy change someday. So, I mean, she got to go to these meetings. She got to meet with people who are going to be a part of that in her future, possibly.
She really did, and a big part of what we do at KCKCC is we give every student, access and opportunity.
Yes.
So with Aaliyah for the day, she had access to meet with the president of the chamber. She had access to meet with the president of the Wyandotte Health Foundation. She really did step into the shoes of Dr. Mosier for the day. Met with his cabinet staff, the faculty, the staff, all throughout campus.
That's perfect. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at Aaliyah's story and what her experience was like.
I think a lot of the time when I think of leadership, especially on the administrative level, it's very business side, not very personal. But what I found today is that it's very similar to how the students and I interact on a daily basis. It's very much talking about your day with someone and then going into what's on the agenda today. A lot of the major components that they talk about generally affect what our environment looks like here on campus. And it's so simple, but it's also the smallest things that make the biggest impact. I think using your voice and just asking questions is so simple, but I think it's always hard to take that lead, but I would encourage students to take that lead. I really enjoyed getting really great insight. I got some amazing notes. I met with some people that I may not always have the chance to speak with. Don't have fear about leadership. It's okay to ask questions. Everyone has questions. Don't be afraid to take that leap, and just make sure you're making genuine connections and follow up with people.
We have a proclamation that we've created, and at the end of the proclamation, it states that we announce November 28th, 2018, KCKCC's first annual Presidential Swap Day.
I don't know, I really appreciated this day, so it was great.
Oh, that's terrific. I'm glad you enjoyed it. So, it was a great day for me as well. Got to go back to being a student, which took me back a couple years or so ago.
Just a few.
I love that you did that. And did you flunk her out of biology? Tell us the truth.
Oh, no, I hope not. But she was getting ready for finals that day, so I was writing notes just as fast as possible.
Yeah,
taking pictures of the screen and trying, just so she doesn't fail her finals.
Yeah.
And it was AP biology.
It was.
Aaliyah is a
my goodness.
sharp young
Right.
lady. 8 o'clock,
8
AP
o'clock.
biology.
You could have done some
History in the
damage there.
afternoon. Yeah. Helped run Student Senate and the Student Activity Center during the day. So, and Leah did a great job.
She did, and it was such a success. You're going to do this every year now, right?
Absolutely.
That's fantastic.
This was the first here for the college. We have a lot of great traditions. Like yesterday, we did the candle lighting ceremony, which was the 94th annual. So we're starting new traditions as well.
Well, guys, thank you so much for coming in. For more on Kansas City, Kansas Community College, you can, of course, visit them at their campus located on State Avenue in Kansas City, Kansas, or you can give them a call at the number on your screen there, or, of course, visit them online and learn more about cool opportunities like this. And we thank you guys so much for coming in and sharing your story and your crazy swap with us. Fun to be a student again,
It
huh?
was great. It was great,
for year 2.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you guys
thank
so
you.
much.
Good job.
Good job, President Shaw. And just to give a quick roundabout with the Vatterott information, I talked with Dr. Wilson, and they actually had students come in today to seek advising as possible transfer students. So, yeah, we are impacting.
Great job.
Any questions?
Any questions? I just want everybody to know, did you notice how Dr. Mosier was dressed? Oh.
Thought it was a day off.
Great job. You all did a wonderful job. And I'm proud of Aaliyah. She's fantastic.
Yes, she is.
And I think Don gave her a nickname when she was in Worcester. She's a rock star. Thank you so much. All right, can I get a motion to approve the report?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the marketing and community outreach report. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much. All right. Now we will have the Vice President Academic Affairs report. Dr. Kramer.
Good afternoon or evening. Thank you for giving me the time to be up here, and I have given you my report. I'd like you to accept that, and I'd like you to actually, there's been a faux pas. There's one student still missing that thought it was at 6. So they're going to be here in a few minutes for the presentation from the group that went to New York.
So you want us to come back to this?
Please, to that part,
Okay.
if we can when they get here. But the rest of my report you have, and I'd be more than glad to answer any questions you have.
Any questions?
Good report.
All right. Well, can I get a motion to accept the report, and we'll come back to pick up that one piece in a little bit.
Can I get
So
a
moved.
motion?
Second.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we accept the academic affairs report. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much. All right. Student affairs report. Dr. Wilson.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I hope everybody's having a good week so far and getting ready for the holidays. I know I am. I have a few highlights in our report. I first want to start off, kind of point out that President Shaw, thank you very much, is doing a wonderful job. And for this being a commuter, mostly a commuter campus, we have a lot of events and a lot of activities going on. And I think that has a lot to do with us having such a wonderful Student Senate program and a student activity program. So I want to give a round of applause to them. They do a lot for us. It is not very common to have a campus that has so many events going on, and there's always something that's happening. And just recently, as we're winding down towards the end of the semester, there was opportunities for the students to be able to enjoy, to be able to relax, to be able to study. They did the finals breakfast, which was something that was very nice for our students to get a full belly right before they went into their finals. And they did this on all three of the campuses, so it was a good thing for them to be able to do. And I think Student Senate used this as a fundraiser also for $1. No, what was $1 for? To pay. Okay, sounds good. Okay, just a little bit of something. So it's one of those good things to get involved, and they're doing a great job in that. So we also hosted the annual December graduation dinner, and this year we had 26 graduates who participated, a total of 90 students, family, and friends who were in attendance. So this year it was nice to see such a big turnout. It was a little, we had more in participation than in the past. Thank you again, Andrika, for your help with this. Our guest speaker was Marquise Harris from the Intercultural Center, and he did a wonderful job. He did a great presentation, a great speech for us. Who would have thought that he was such a good speaker? He was also the MC for the candle lighting ceremony. So it's amazing to see the talent that we have in our own campus. So thank you, Marquise, for doing that for us. The Veterans Center participated in the Wreaths Across America project that was on December 15th. And that the mission of that project is to remember, honor, and to teach by laying out and coordinating a wreath laying out ceremony in the Arlington National Ceremony, as well as in over 1,400 veteran cemeteries across the nation. We had over 30 volunteers in KCKCC who went out to the Leavenworth Cemetery to lay out wreaths. So that was a wonderful opportunity for us to show our support to our veterans in our community. If you look at our report right now for this spring semester, upcoming spring semester, there is a decrease for right now in credit hours and in head count, but it's still early. So I think there is still lots of opportunity to be able to encourage our students to enroll for the spring 2019 semester. Our student success advisors, our program coordinators will continue to take initiatives to be able to get our students to come in. They've been doing things like calling them, sending emails, a lot of chatting with them, letting them do things like enrolling by online or enrolling by emails, anything that was to reduce barriers to try to get them to come in. One of the other things that we're going to try again this year, and we did this last semester, was working with our deans. Once the semester is about to start, we'll look at the courses that are not making, so we'll look at the class fill rates and make decisions with the academic deans of the classes that need to be canceled. Those that need to be canceled, the deans, their administrative assistants, the student success advisors all reached out to the students whose courses were going to get canceled because they weren't going to make, and they offered them alternative courses. That really helped because we made sure we didn't lose any students by doing that, and we were able to place them into other courses. So we will make sure that we'll do that again this semester. Any questions?
Any questions?
Dr. Wilson, was this the first year you've done the express enrollment? I noticed you had a couple of days there where you stayed open longer times for express enrollment for the spring. Is that the first time we've done that?
No, we've been doing it since I've been here for the last 2 years. Yeah.
Has that been working well for you?
We have not been very successful, to be honest with you. I mean, our numbers that we get are not that large. I think that we need to, I want to continue to do it, but I think we need to do a better job in advertising it. So we need to do a better job in getting that information out. Our community is not used to us being open on a Saturday or us being open a little later. So I think the more often that we do that and the better that we advertise this, the more used to the community will get used to, and maybe the better, chances we'll get of having students coming in. So our numbers are kind of small. If you notice, we serve some, and a little bit is better than nothing, but it's not a lot.
Oh, I think it's a great idea, so I'll keep it up.
Yeah, definitely we'll keep it up.
Just wanted to give a shout out in reading, since the Veterans Center opened, over 400 military and veteran students have signed in for services and so forth. And, if you build it, they will come type thing. That's phenomenal. And then, your presentation to the Kansas National Guard, over 100 set in on that. And, surely some of those will gravitate here.
Yep.
So it's fantastic.
Yeah, Veterans Center has been very, very involved with our community. Definitely, they have been going out there and reaching out and doing anything possible to make sure that they're letting our community know that we're here to serve them.
In the area of student retention, I see that there were a total of 1,034 withdrawals.
Yes.
Do we have a breakdown on that? What areas that was in, and what can we do to not lose that many students because they've paid money to attend the classes? And then I see early alert listed on there, but I don't see any action in there. Are we actually doing anything in early alert?
I spoke to our retention coordinator about that. Those withdrawals are duplicated, right? So they're not just individual students. So it could have been, one student who withdrew from several courses for a multiple of reasons. What we're wanting to do is to be able to do a better job at tracking as why they're withdrawing from these courses. At this point in the semester, it is fairly common to see that number to be a little higher because if the students are not doing well in their courses, they go ahead and withdraw before that grade of, failing grade hits their transcript. We want to make sure that we go back and look at those courses and maybe look at some trends. What courses are they withdrawing from? And maybe work with our academic deans and share that information with them and see what we can do to kind of help the students. The early alert system is available. We have not been able to get a lot of participation, so we need to look at other options and how to encourage that system to be used. So you see a 0 there, and that's because we did not get any individuals to submit any information for a student to be, referred to the retention coordinator.
I'm glad to hear you say that you all want to go back and look and see where the problems are. And the next time we get a report like this, I would like to see the areas where we're having the withdrawals because we can't address a problem if we don't know where it's happening.
Right.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
And there may be, other reasons than academic too, but if we could somehow shine a light on those, that might be helpful. So if it is transportation or a family emergency or, something like that, then we can still think of how we can expand or extend services for those students.
And each of the students who withdraw, they receive a notification from the retention coordinator, but they don't always respond back. And the way for us to be able to get that information as to why you're withdrawing for right now is if we get a response back. So we have to tweak the system a little bit to be able to get better success to reach out to those students.
And this is just a question about this nice calendar from Andrika. I don't see the therapy programs pending on here. Do we know when those are going to be so that we can be informed and attend those as well? Because we attended those in May. We see the nurses pending, but we don't see anything on there for physical therapy assistant or recreation therapy assistant.
Yeah, I don't have those. As in
Okay.
Dean Bohm was here just a few
Yeah,
minutes
okay,
ago. so
she
I think
left us.
just
I was hoping she
stepped
could
out.
address that. Okay.
I know that the nursing pinning is on Thursday. I do know that, and it's at
Yes,
the field
it's
house.
on here. Mhm.
But I
Well-
do not know when the other ones are. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, I was talking about in May, that's what I was talking
Oh,
about,
okay.
yeah. Mhm. Okay.
So we have time to get that
Yes.
information
So that we
back
can
to
get it
us.
on our calendar and attend. We want to support those like we do the nursing as well.
Make sure we'll get it on there.
Okay.
Can I ask you about the early alert? Because I have
Yes.
a question about that also. You indicated there was a lack of participation in the early alert program? What is that? Is that student lack of participation, or is that our employee lack of participation? What's the lack of participation that's going on there?
Early alert, the way it's set up right now is if a faculty member sees that a student is not attending class, is failing class, did not show up, shared a concern, there's a form that they can submit, and that form goes to our retention coordinator. And the retention coordinator is able to reach out to that student and see if we can offer some help. And it doesn't have to be a faculty member. It can be a student success advisor. It can be one of the deans who sees that a student is struggling for whatever reason. So we're not getting a lot of that feedback using that system.
Zero. I mean, I think you've identified as that as a really important program.
It is a very important program. So
Pretty surprised we're getting no
Right.
referrals.
And, and maybe for this semester, it's December, we are definitely going to follow up and work. I think our best source is to work with our academic deans and for them to help us work with our faculty and to try to get this message out and work together to figure out what can we do, what can I do to facilitate it to make sure that this is an easy process and that we can all, help get the message out.
Was this the first year that we did this?
Yes.
Okay.
At least since I've been here. But we'll follow up.
Oh,
Thank you.
look forward to hearing back from you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I do want to, one more thing, I want to remind President Shaw that we do have a grade appeal process if for some reason you get your grades for biology. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Just maybe that
Can you quickly share, on page 7, there's some good news there on Dr. Shonda Witt, and then also about our female basketball team. I just think if you can highlight that, that'd be great.
Yes. Dr. Sean Darrett, is he here? Come on up, Dr. Sean Darrett. Was selected.
Well, I was selected and have been awarded to be a Black Achiever for the metropolitan area, along with myself and one of my direct reports, Michael Kozart, as well as one of our faculty members, DC Boyle. So it's quite an honor to represent the college in this role.
Congratulations.
Coming up.
Oh, okay, next month?
Yeah.
Okay, and excuse me for the gum. I didn't know I would be speaking. Next month, or hopefully next month, I'll be in front of you, hopefully, to have the opportunity to share with you my research. Some of you that have been on the board for a while remember about, 2015 or 14, I had promised you that I would come back and share with you the results of the college's initiative to implement mandatory advising. And I can tell you initially that there was some success in that. It's proven to be a great strategy. It has definitely impacted our persistence of all of our students and our persistence of all male students. So, but I look forward to sharing in depth more with you about that.
Great. We're looking forward to
hearing
it.
it.
Thank you.
Congratulations
Thank
to
you.
you and the others.
Thank you.
Is that reverse to the San Antonio trip in March?
Yes, I've been asked to present at NACADA's Region 7 conference to present on that research, and I've also presented at CAN, which was at Fort Hays, and presented that research. So I'm just trying to get that out to show the great work that we're doing on our campus and the data-driven decisions that we're making.
Awesome.
Great
Good work.
job.
Great work.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And if I can just step in for 1 second, we actually had 3 individuals from Kansas City, Kansas Community College being selected for the 2019 Black Achievers Award. And the other individual is with us tonight as well, Dr. Marissa Gray. No, wait.
She was hired a couple years ago. Marissa was put in, what, 2 or 3 years ago?
Who's our third? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, DC Broy. I am so sorry.
Yeah.
And Michael Colzer. Yes, yeah. I'm sorry. Well, you're such an achiever.
You were honored. Marissa was honored.
Yes, she was. Yeah, and that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
2 or 3 years ago, Marissa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But 3 in 1 year. That's quite something we're really proud of.
Exactly.
And I think you wanted me to point out, Trustee Garner, for women's basketball, that they are doing very well. They're currently 12-2, and that is in their season, and they're number 6 in the nation.
All right, great job.
And I can't get into too much detail because I don't know too much about basketball, so I wish Tony would be here to help explain. But he is. Can you come explain a little bit? Because I'm assuming that's really good, right? Really good stuff. Okay, there we go. Very, very good.
I move approval of the report.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the report. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much. That's exciting news.
It is.
All right.
You got to get out more, Delta.
All right. So she has to attend the next basketball
Got to
game?
attend the next basketball game.
It's a must.
Get her a Blue Cruise shirt. Where's Andrika?
Orange
Get her a Blue Cruise shirt. Let's get her out there.
All right, is our,
Our group is here,
okay.
yes.
All
So
right. We'll step back and pick up.
I'll have Jerry Pope come up and introduce them, the group from the Standard, on their trip to New York and the Carnegie Hall.
Great.
Dr. Kramer was very generous in not saying that the faux pas was mine. I told them to be here at 6 instead of 5, but, so they were here early, which is wonderful. A couple of things. I put our top vocal jazz group called The Standard just actually recorded a CD, and so I put one of those in front of you, which I hope you'll listen to it and enjoy it. I've been listening to it in the car, and it's really great. I just want to highlight that at least, well, I would say 90% of the people that participated in this project were either current students or graduates. And so all of the singers were current students. The designer, the jacket designer, the cover designer is a current student. The sound engineer, Brady Rose, is a graduate. So if you just look through that, there's just a few that are professional Kansas City musicians, but most of them are our students. It was recorded in our studio using our equipment, so I'm just very excited about that, and I think they did a wonderful job. One of the other things that the school supported, helped us support, the students did pay to go on this trip, but the school was able to help them with a little bit of money, and that was they went to New York, and they got to sing in Carnegie Hall. Wow. It was a premiere of an English composer's work, and I won't steal their thunder because they're just here to kind of talk about that experience, and they can say something I can't say, which is they performed in Carnegie Hall, so I'm a little jealous. So we have Patty Freeman, who is in the community chorus, and so she's going to talk. She has some deep ties here in Kansas City, Kansas, and then we have a student who's a music student, Hope Metis, who's also going to say a couple of words. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
As Jerry said, my name is Patty Freeman. I'm a long-time, I won't say a lifetime because I've lived kind of all over the country, but I grew up here in Kansas City, Kansas. I graduated from Washington High School, just right like down the street. And I'm also a former student of Kansas City, Kansas Community College.
Wow.
And I was a piano scholarship student while I was here for 2 years. And I attended here when this campus had only been open for a couple of years. So if you can do the math, then I just told you how old I am. So I'm also currently an independent contractor in the music department as an accompanist. So that scholarship went to very good use. When the name Carnegie Hall is mentioned in a room full of musicians, you can kind of feel a rush of wind that kind of parts your hair because everybody goes, oh, and there it goes. Carnegie Hall is undoubtedly one of the most, or the most prestigious concert stage in the United States. And to perform on a stage like Carnegie Hall is to follow in the footsteps of people like Mark Twain, Tchaikovsky, Toscanini, Leonard Bernstein, Isaac Stern, Glenn Miller, Billie Holiday, Judy Garland, and the list goes on and on and on and on, and I think you kind of get the point. One day last spring, John Stafford announced to the choral music groups that the offer had been extended to our college to participate in this program. It was a concert in New York City. And I want to mention at this point how great it was that John extended this opportunity to the community choir. I heard some things earlier said about access and about opportunity. Now, the community choir is a little bit different in that we have people. There's probably, I would say 30 to 35 people in the community choir, but they're everywhere from really good singers who have just gone on to other parts of life and have come back to sing together in a group. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we have people who love music. Notice I didn't say they love music, okay? So you get the entire spectrum, but the opportunity was presented to all of us, which I think was a wonderful, wonderful thing. So anyway, John came and he said that this opportunity had been extended, and it was going to be the U.S. premiere of a composer's new requiem. The composer was Paul Mueller, and all the choirs had done some of his works before. The requiem was called The Souls of the Righteous, and it involved 5 days in New York City, and it would be at Carnegie Hall on Veterans Day. So the excitement level was pretty high. But ultimately, we ended up with a group of 20 individuals that made this trip to New York. We had 17 singers plus John, and then 2 family members that tagged along for the fun of it. At the concert, there were actually 2 pieces that were premiered by 2 different composers, both British. And each one was written in honor of the 100th anniversary of the armistice of World War I. It was exactly 100 years. So each one was written for orchestra and choir. And so for 5 days in New York City, about 500 singers from all over the world descended on New York City to make up the choirs for these 2 pieces. Let's see, we had, in our choir, we did the Mueller Requiem. For our choir, we had about 244 voices. They were from various communities in the UK, Wales, Scotland, England, Northern Ireland, Hong Kong, Australia, Connecticut, Kansas, Texas. That's the ones I can remember. But it was truly an international experience and an endeavor to put this all together. The weekend was organized by a group in New York called DCINY. It stands for Distinguished Concerts International New York. And this is what they do. And they're an amazing group of people that just planned everything down to absolutely the last detail and the last minute in scheduling, something like that. And it was pretty amazing. We got our music scores early in the fall, and we were responsible for learning the notes ourselves. Yes, we did some work in choir, in the classes and everything, but by and large, we had to learn it ourselves. We had to be concert ready by the time we went to New York. When we got to New York, we were there for 5 days, but over a 2-day period, we spent about 12 hours in rehearsal with Paul Mueller, the composer. And then that left some time for some sightseeing and some fun things in Manhattan. But then we performed the concert then on Sunday evening, which was Veterans Day this year. I had the privilege at one point in my life of attending a concert at Carnegie Hall. And this is an amazing, iconic place. And even if you're just going to a concert, you just sit there and look around going, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm sitting here. But that experience did nothing to compare to the experience of walking out on that stage and realizing that, wait a minute, I am now a performer. I am not an audience member. And just the responsibility that held was immense. I can describe the facts and all of the little details about this experience, But the emotional impact of doing this on Veterans Day is a little bit harder to articulate and a little bit harder to process. And if I may, I'm going to close with just a little personal anecdote. My father was a World War II veteran. He was a ball turret gunner in the 8th Air Force flying B-17 bombing missions over Germany. This was in the months after D-Day leading up to the end of the war in Europe. He was very, very proud of the time that he spent in the service to our country, but he was also immensely proud that his only daughter was going to be singing at Carnegie Hall. Now, he was a farm boy from Arkansas, but he did know and understand this whole Carnegie Hall thing. So he was very, very proud of the fact that I had been offered this opportunity. And he told where he lived, he told everybody that his daughter was going to be singing at Carnegie Hall. Well, unfortunately, Dad passed away about 2 weeks before we went to New York. So he's not going to get to hear my stories, but I really have to believe that he still heard the concert. So that's kind of the emotional impact for me personally. And this was an amazing experience. I was one of about the three old people on the trip. Okay, the rest of these guys could have been my children or my grandchildren, And at first I thought, what am I thinking? I'm going to New York with a bunch of teenagers. Oh my gosh. But within 20 minutes of being on that bus on the way to the airport, I thought, oh my gosh, this is a great group of kids. We're going to have a ball. So I think you can be very, very proud of the students and the musicians here at Kansas City, Kansas Community College. And the school, I will say, was very well represented. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Hope Metis. This is my second year as a student at KCKCC. My second semester as a music student. I'm in the choir here and also one of the jazz groups. So I love the music program. It's amazing. As Patty said, I'm just going to go over kind of my experience and what it meant to me. I was actually born in New York, so it was really nice to go back, and I only lived there for a year, but it kind of still felt like home, which was awesome. Yeah, it was a 5-day trip. I went with some people that I actually don't know as well. I know Patty because I had her in one of my classes last year. But it was really nice to get to know everyone. The music, I really love the music. We had 5 days, and we had a lot of time to explore the city, but my favorite part was actually the practices. We had 2 practices, I think 6 hours each, which seems like a lot, but I thought it was going to be a lot. I thought it was going to be, a lot of hard work, kind of boring, but it was not boring at all. Paul Mueller really made it an experience. I mean, I was sitting next to people from all over the world. There was a woman next to me. Actually, I got really close with her. She was from England. I got her number. We took pictures together. Yeah, she was awesome. So yeah, the practices were definitely my favorite part. Well, I guess Carnegie Hall was my favorite part, but the practices, I mean, I thought it was going to be the sightseeing and things like that, but really it was, performing and being around people from all over the world, all different age groups, was just amazing. An experience I thought I would never do in my whole life, especially at the age of 19. So it was definitely really amazing. And music is a whole different thing. Like being in a room with a whole bunch of people from all over the world is amazing, but singing with them and learning with them and making your voice sound as one voice is a whole different thing, and it can really bring people really close together, and that's definitely what I got from the whole experience. Was just, even though I was only there for 3 days with these people, 5 days with these people, I grew really close with them, and I don't know, it was definitely one of my favorite trips I've ever been on. I would like to go back. Yeah, it was definitely amazing. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. Anybody have any questions?
Outstanding.
My compliments to the group. I got to hear them Sunday night in concert, and it was most excellent. I enjoyed it.
All right, can I get we need to accept that portion of the report, or we just gonna go to the next? You did a great job, and I'm sure you enjoyed yourself. We can see it through you, as if we were there, but I've never been to Carnegie Hall, but I think I am enjoying it through you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, now we'll move to the Information Services Report.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Unfortunately, the most exciting thing I have to talk about tonight is email. I have to follow this.
Very hard to follow that, yeah.
You do have my report, and I'll take any questions, but I did want to mention, this is not in the report. This is happening after we leave for break. We're taking the next step with Office 365, and we're moving all of our email to Office 365 and Exchange. So when the students log in, they'll have access to Word and Excel, all the other features, and the button for Outlook that they can access it straight from there. And it'll be an updated platform from what we've been using for the last few years, so we'll be current from now on. And that will start, like I say, it'll start when we leave for break. There's about 25,000 mailboxes that need to move, and depending on how long they've been here and how much email they keep, it'll take a bit of time. We've tested a few. Right now, someone in IT actually holds a record of 19 hours and 46 minutes to transfer their mailbox, because there's over 200,000 pieces of mail. So that's the exciting part. So I'll be watching those over the break as they move. And just as a kind of the end of the year, I wanted to say happy holidays to everyone. I look forward to seeing you next year, and I wanted to thank everyone in IT, research, media, and everyone in my area for everything that they do during the year. I think they've done a great job and great support. So if you have any questions on the report, I'll take.
Any questions?
Thank you for including this graph and showing us the impact of the live streams, even though of the Board of Trustees meeting, even though it just started, it seems like it's already having a good impact. So thank you for sharing that, and thank you for getting that going for us.
Sure.
Yes, I agree.
All right.
Quick question, Mr. Gabriel.
Yes.
Regarding the computing services statistics that are here, it states 259 tickets issued during the month of August. Is that a typo for the month, or?
That is. I noticed it while I was sitting here waiting for my turn, so I apologize for that, and we'll catch it next time.
Oh, no worries, no worries. No, I thought, well, that's okay. I thought maybe it was quarterly. Then my second question is, looking at 259 tickets issued and 262 resolved, were a portion of the tickets that were resolved, were those carryover from the previous month?
Most likely, yes. We could go back and find out which ones, but we have a number of tickets that sometimes string over 30 days if we're waiting on parts or different things.
Or aging, or, okay.
Yep.
Okay, that's fine. Yes, I looked at that number, I was like, well, okay, now it makes sense. Okay, thank you so much.
Sure.
I also noticed that the website traffic was up in all the categories that you have listed.
Yeah.
Contribute that to something, or is
President's blog.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That's a good one. No, I don't think so. I mean, other than, we got the word out that we have a new website. I think more people are just going out to look at it, so, which is a good thing.
Well, obviously it's made a profound impact, because, those are double-digit numbers, so that's obviously some good work.
And it's a living, breathing thing, so it'll go over many changes over the next, few months or year or so, so.
All right.
Maybe it's the financial indicators.
It's got
in the opposite order.
Any other questions? All right, can I get a motion to accept the report?
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the report. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, now we'll have a report from Human Resources Officer, Ms. Christina McGee.
I was going to say afternoon. Good evening.
Good evening.
Well, mine is short. We don't have any new updates for the month of December for HR, so I am open to answering any questions that you may have for us.
I move approval of the report.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we accept the report.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Thank you.
opposed? Thank you so much.
Just gotta know how to do it.
That's right. All right, we'll have a report for the Finance and Administrative Services CFO report, Mr. Mike Beach.
It's grateful to be here this evening, and I would like to wish all of you a heartfelt Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Same to you.
You have my report in front of you. I don't have a lot of details to go over. I think the biggest thing I really want to highlight is that now that we're past budget and financial audit, we just don't have a lot of things to focus on right now on finances until we get into the mid-year review and start the budget process all over again.
Yeah.
The biggest thing really that Trustee Gardner also mentioned is really the efforts that are going in from our facilities services group and buildings and grounds in putting forth a valiant effort in doing a number of projects. They've been overwhelmed. We've kept Jeff Sixta and his crew very busy. But just a couple of highlights. On the report, it shows that the concrete work was 90% complete. If I'm not mistaken, Cliff, as of yesterday, I think it was 100% complete, right? The asphalt paving on the roadway out here was the last bit of that project that had to be done, and where we hit mid-50s temperatures, they got out here, got right after it, milled the road down and replaced the asphalt, and so that project is actually complete. The other thing is the question came up in the Finance Committee about the South Bridge project down there on the south end of the lake. That bridge is currently being fabricated indoors and will be ready to be installed and will be in place before spring hits. I just wanted to give you an update on that one. We continue with the remodel of the Student Success Center, and that will look very great when it's done. And then the other big thing, as you notice, and it's unfortunate that we have the meetings here in the wintertime after it gets dark, but that's the marquee signs. They're coming together very well. They too were built in-house, and so for the longest time, nothing was happening. But right now they're being installed, and it looks like we may even be able to have them all installed before the end of the week. I don't know if we're going to actually have access to them though, right? There's an antenna issue still? Yeah, there's antennas that have to be mounted on 2 areas to communicate with the signs. So. But for the most part, they will be installed and ready to go, and they're looking really sharp.
They look great.
I looked at the one coming off of College Parkway this morning as I came in, and it would look really good. So that is my report. If anybody has any questions for me.
I just really want to again applaud, the grounds staff. I mean, the previous board, when we voted to approve, what you see, I know some people thought, well, they've approved it, what's happening. Things didn't happen quickly, but as you can see, good things are happening along the way. And, so it's good to see that progress, as you all have promised, is really being visualized. And not just for the staff and the students here, but anybody, you've worked hard to create a college that Kansas City, Kansas, and Wyandotte County and all our service area can really be proud of. It really highlights what a great college and a great facility we have right here in Kansas City, Kansas when you talk about higher education. So I just want to applaud the good work and the hard work that was put in from start to finish. So thank you, guys.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, I also, Trustee Garner's comments as well. I also wanted to add a commendation for the fact that the marquee signage was built in-house. I know that our college is doing well financially, and I think that sometimes when that happens, there's a tendency to just start spending money because, quote unquote, we're rich, so to speak. But I wanted to applaud you for being resourceful and considering an in-house option and actually utilizing that type of an option to keep us moving in the direction of positive financial health. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Trustee Criswell. And I might just add along with that too, my shout out to Cliff and Jeff and our whole team, because
they particularly, under their leadership, are making a very concerted effort to keep as many of these projects in-house where we can capitalize on our labor and economies as much as we possibly can. Going outside is very expensive, and we're very conscientious of that, and we're trying to stretch those dollars and make them go as far as we possibly can.
Excellent, thank you.
One last thing. We're at the end of the year, obviously. If you could just, I think we brought it up before, but just reiterate the financial health of the college as we go into 2019, if you would.
So just an overview on that, and I'm glad you brought that up. You have the financial report in front of you, but just to kind of give you a real a summary recap on the summary financial statement, budget to actual for the years, we're actually really in good shape. Right now, we are moving through what has historically been and probably will continue to be a cash flow for the college. We go through a lot of expenses, but we haven't received a lot of revenue as yet. We'll turn that corner the 1st of January, and when all the property tax revenues start to come in and replenish that. That being said, our operating revenues are tracking very, very nicely. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, at around 60% of what they would normally be, while our non-operating revenues historically track low this time of year, but will recover nicely come January and February and March. Our operating expenses for the college are tracking at just under 38% year to date, based on 5 months, which is about 4.5 percentage points lower than what they would be expected for 5 months of completion in the year. So we're tracking very, very nicely on our expenses, and so the college is doing, I think, a great job managing expenses with revenues as we move forward.
And we also mentioned the finance meeting. I didn't mention it in our report, but we talked about the new accountability mechanisms you have, just to look at expenses as you peel back, go down into the deeper layers of the organization and the decisions that are being made on how we spend our money and how you all are there's a checks and balances in place. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so the biggest checks and balance that we have in place from a control perspective on spending, which I believe is working nicely for now, is that we implemented basically a stop control for expenditures, that if a department's particular line item if an expense requisition coming through the system is going to put that expense over budget, it doesn't allow the requisition to go through. It flags it and stops it until somebody in that particular department has a conversation with the college controller, works out where the budget is going to come from. Most of the time it results in a budget transfer from another line item until such time as that money can be transferred or in between those line items, and then the expense can go through. So that's one of the biggest controls that's in place that really hasn't been there in the past, that really reaffirms the fact that, one, we're serious about keeping to our budget, and that those expenses are stopped. The other thing that we're going to put in place this year, and the system is already designed to do this, is to create a mid-year budget actual review on a department level. We're not going to get down to the line item level. So that report will be generated in January, and we'll be reviewing that, and we'll be looking at departments that are outside the parameters of between 40 and 60% on their expenses, asking questions about if they're back-end heavy or front-end heavy, or if we really have a situation here where they're just simply needing more budget or anticipating not needing as much as they originally thought. So a lot of those questions will be asked, it'll be analyzed, we'll discuss it in President's Cabinet and share that with the Finance Committee.
Well, it says a lot about not just your team and the staff here at the college, but also the leadership when you talk about most projects are on time and under budget, and then you also got mechanisms in place to operate more efficiently, and then things to at least have some form of accountability as well. And I think that, I'm sure that that's playing into the financial health of the college. So great work and great leadership on your team.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
Move approval of the report.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the report. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much. All right, we'll move into
unfinished business.
All right. So I just have an update on the child care facility project. Following the closure of the child care facility about a year or so ago, we've been looking at a ways on how can we reopen the child care facility so that it's not cash negative to the institution, but still provides an opportunity for child care in our area, which we know is a great need. So there is a group that has been working on that for a while. We convened last week again, and then also added individuals from facilities, so Mr. Smith and Mr. Sixta, to the group so that we can have a large, fully encompassing conversation on where are we with the project and what do we need to do to still try and have the facility opened by a fall 2019 start. So the group has been pulling together information both from a programmatic area and then from a facility area. So we've put together a single site with the help of IT and using SharePoint, which is a way for sharing files and working collaboratively on files. So over the break, I'm going to be reviewing that information. We need to request what is called a request for, we need to prepare what is called a request for proposals, or an RFP. Because the operation of the facility, it will not be run by KCKCC, but an outside provider of child care services. So in the RFP, we'll be identifying what we're looking for the facility to offer in terms programmatically to provide a field experience opportunity for our students, and also looking at what will it need to do and what will it need to have in place so it can operate fiscally sound as a center, as a private entity. So last week we put together a timeline on what we need to do. So we are looking to launch the request for proposal at the end of February, and there'll be a lot of contractual language that will go in there as well. So we'll identify what we're going to be looking for. We'll identify benchmarks for scoring. People who provide responses to the RFP will be scored along with the outcomes that we identify in the RFP. From there, we've mapped it out how it goes through the process from when we get the RFPs back, when they are reviewed, the responses are reviewed, an evaluation period, a time to do a preliminary commitment with a service provider, and then a final commitment, because there are additional negotiations that take place between preliminary commitment and final commitment. And we're looking at targeting a final commitment by the end of May, and then an open date towards the end of July. And that allows about 1 month before classes start for the center to be operational. As we're looking at all the additional projects that our own in-house facilities group is taking on at this time, we do have a budget that was identified in capital projects. That budget was created thinking that our internal people will be able to do all of the work except a few things which need to be contracted out. Because that department is so busy right now, we're looking at there might need to be a change in that area, and what that means fiscally. Because anytime we do have to contract out work, it does cost additional money to us. So we're wanting to be fiscally conservative in that, still trying to meet that target date. And then we're also looking at conversations with the accrediting agencies who oversee child care facilities to make sure that we're lockstep in time with what they need to do is reviewing the child care facility as it goes through its remodel and approval process, very much kind of like a building inspector might do, but from a child care education perspective. So our time frame is tight right now. We've mapped it out on projects that need to be accomplished by either a 3-week or a 4-week time period in order to reach the target date that we're looking for. We're still hoping to have it open by in July for our August fall class start. We'll keep the board up to date as this continues to move along, though.
Thank you. Any questions?
Well, I just want to note, I appreciate your leadership, Doctor. One of the call from actions from this board was for you to explore that, and you've taken that leadership role, and leading the charge on that. And I've mentioned it before. One of my goals when I came on the board was to try and find a way, if we could reasonably do that and responsibly do that, to open up the child care center, because it adds value. Child care is key when you talk about individuals that want to get an education to improve their destiny, and having that opportunity through child care, is a valuable resource. So I know things aren't happening as quick as some people want, but I've said it in prior meetings, I'm glad that we're doing it right as opposed to right away. And I'm glad that you're taking that leadership role and leading the charge on that. And I'm hoping and cautiously optimistic that great things are going to come from your leadership and the work of the team that you got looking at that facility, and give this board something to look at so we can make an informed decision one way or another. So thank you.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. We do have a lot of great people working on the project, so we appreciate that. We added another unfinished item at the beginning of the meeting, and that was an update on the AOS contract. So that is with the Cisco service that the Cisco products that we're looking at purchasing. There was some discussion on contract language during our last board meeting. We've had conversations back and forth with AOS, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Peter, but we are moving forward with what the board agreed upon at our last meeting, the language agreed upon during the board meeting last month.
Trustee Criswell, do you have any questions?
Just to make sure we're clear, so we will not be waiving the non-disclosure clause?
That is correct. Yes, they accepted all of the changes, and we're going to get some additional information.
Yeah, I was just going to make that comment, so I'm glad that Mr. Goheen made it. But so the contract's already been modified by Mr. Goheen and his office. It's been signed, so all of those modifications, all of the required language under Kansas statute has been added to those agreements, and they've been signed and executed, and we're moving forward.
Excellent.
I'd just like to add, when we talk about our contracts, and we've done a real good job of putting language in there that addresses, at least encouraging underrepresented class of minorities, women, and small businesses to engage with this college for business. And I think that's a good segue into where I'm going. But just my own research, when you talk about, and not trying to take away from HR, but a lot of colleges and institutions, as well as businesses, are looking at the best practice of having a diversity and inclusion manager at their facilities. And something for you, maybe, Dr. Moses, for you to think about when you talk about equity in pay, hiring, compensation, promotions, and being fair and impartial in procurement, things like that. That's something that I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on, of having a diversity and inclusion manager that would answer to you to help HR address some of those needs that I think are vital when you talk about this community college being in a service area that has probably one of the more diverse communities in the nation, right here in Wyandotte County in Kansas City, Kansas. And so I think that's a best practice and a model that a lot of organizations are looking at. So just want to throw that out there to you, something for you to think about, and
sure,
bring back to this board at some point on your thoughts.
Okay, very good.
Any other questions, comments? All right, now we'll go to new business.
All right. We actually have two items for new business. The first I'd like to talk about, the board has it, I believe, in their packet, a printout in the board packet online. We're at a time, if we look at the KCKCC Centennial Pathway, our timeline for the development of our strategic plan that will guide us for the next 3 years. We are at that December point where we revisit and present to the board the work that has been done by the college in developing draft mission, vision, and priority statements. So we've had wonderful help by our president's cabinet and Michael Beach, who has kind of been leading the charge in the development of these planning sessions and gathering information and melding it into statements that we use for a college. Previously, institutions would take their mission statement and it would be a statement that was 3 or 4 sentences long, and it included everything about the composition, the location, and the type of services that the college offers. They get so long that if someone is trying to remember what is our mission statement, that it's not possible to remember. So we're taking a new look at it this year. And one of our goals is to make our mission, vision, and our priority statements that are very memorable. So they're very concise. They speak to what is at the heart of the institution. So in the document that you have in front of you, and I'm presenting the document to you tonight, not for a vote tonight, but for you to begin to review, to take home with you over the course of the next month, and we'll come back and revisit it in January if you have thoughts or recommendations at that point. But we have a draft institutional description, and for those in the audience, I'll read that. It says, Kansas City, Kansas Community College is a public 2-year urban open-door comprehensive community college with locations in Wyandotte and Leavenworth counties. Existing to stimulate student and community success, KCKCC is committed to operate with the utmost integrity to ensure high-quality, equitable, and affordable educational opportunities that meet the needs of our diverse stakeholders. So that just kind of provides an overview of who we are as a college. Our mission statement that we're presenting for your consideration, it's more concise and it leaves room for us to build upon. So the draft mission statement: inspire individuals and enrich our community one student at a time. With that, we have our vision statement. Who do we want to be? We want to be a national leader in academic excellence and a partner of choice in the communities we serve. And I think those two statements speak very eloquently to who we are as an institution and where we want to be and where we want to go. So each time you go in a strategic plan, you dig a little bit deeper and a little bit deeper. So we've prepared 5 strategic priorities as a draft. I'll read the headings first and then we can elaborate on them, but so everyone can get the feel for our priorities for the coming years. Number 1 is student success. 2 is quality programs and services. 3, employee engagement. 4, community engagement. And 5, institutional excellence. So as we go through and build the strategic plan, we'll then build action steps into these priorities on how we'll achieve them, and we'll develop measures. I'd like to just quickly run through our statements for these because such hard work has been put in place by everyone across the college in their development. So student successes provide services and resources that empower students to achieve their goals. Quality programs and services offer relevant and innovative educational programs and services that meet the needs of our students and community. Employee engagement foster an institutional culture that promotes diversity and inclusion, a commitment to KCKCC and employee success. Community engagement cultivate and strengthen mutually beneficial relationships with community stakeholders. And last but not least, institutional excellence. Advance KCKCC to its next level of excellence through strategic use of institutional resources. So I'd ask if, take this with you, provide some thought. Please feel free to make proposed edits. You can send them in advance if you would like to do so. And then I would ask that we come back in January, review any suggested edits, and if ready, take a vote on moving these forward.
Thank you. Any comments, questions?
Dr. Mosier, I just wonder if you could just comment briefly on the process that got you to this point.
Oh.
Or got us to this point.
Yes, thank you very much. So the development of our institutional mission and vision came first. So at our fall convocation, when faculty and staff came together at the beginning of the fall semester, along with our kickoff, we talked about the development of our strategic plan. And then we broke into about 15 or 16 groups and asked the groups to provide statements, provide words that describe what we would like to be in our mission and our vision. Not to write sentences, but to think about those core items. Those items were brought back to the strategic plan steering committee, which was facilitated by Mr. Beach, and they melded those thoughts and words into sentences. Those sentences were developed, sent through the cabinets and councils on campus, taken to the president's cabinet, and then they were dispersed through the institution again for a review process. And then they came back again for another round of edits. The strategic priorities, since we didn't have an institutional gathering of all faculty and staff at the time, those were started with listening sessions. So at all three campuses, we had listening sessions at 7:30 in the morning, noonish or so, and 7 o'clock at night, so that we could meet all the different constituents' needs and talk about, again, what are those key things we want to operate on? What is important to us as a college for our priorities to focus? And that was our information gathering to get those key snippets of what we wanted to put together. Those were brought again to the strategic plan steering committee and drafted into sentences. We had about 8 or so, if I believe, and they went through a process of rewriting and wordsmithing and brought it down to, I think, 6 or so. And then those went through the cabinets and the president's cabinet. And we just finished that. It went in another round of edits. It came back to the steering committee on Thursday of last week. Did some fine tuning, some adjustment and wordsmithing, and we still made edits as of last Thursday. And then marketing and Tammy's group put the piece together that is in front of you tonight. So very engaging, fully reaching out to the college community, starting at the grassroots and working its way up.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other questions or concerns? All right, I thought we were to do the
Dr. Mosier, can you just correct me, what's your timeline on the Centennial Path, and when we'll be looking at
Yes.
finalizing this?
Sure. So we're at the December timeline where we present to the board. In January, we'll have our spring all-college convocation. At that point, we'll present the same document to the college at large, and then we'll start working on our goals and initiatives. So the same process that we went through for the developing the mission and vision, starting with these strategic priorities. What are the goals that we want to strive for, which will help us meet these priorities? And then are there any specific initiatives that are even finer level that we want to do to help reach the goals?
Thank you.
Yeah, and then we hope to have it, we'll go through several processes, iterations. A cabinet will review a draft full plan in May, on May 15th, 2019, finalizing a draft full plan on June 11th, and then presenting for the board's approval or consideration, I should say, on June 18th, 2019, and it'll be ready for next fiscal year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have one more item we needed to discuss under new business.
Yeah, so with with us reaching out to Vatterott students and trying to help them achieve their college goals, as we mentioned, their desire is to offer Vatterott students specifically state tuition. We do need a board approval of that recommendation.
So move.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the tuition to be offered to Vatterott students. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you for that support.
Madam Chair, I just want to say, whoever came up with that idea and pushed that, thank you very much. Like, when I first heard it this morning, I thought, that is really a great thing for this college to do, not necessarily just for this college, but for this community and those students.
Right.
I mean, I just was very proud of whoever, the staff that put that together and so quickly. I just thought it was a very
Great people
meaningful
working on
move
it.
by this college, so thank you.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
We had it coming from all different areas. Because we had several people saying, we need to do something, we need to do something. So
Yeah.
I think everybody was thinking
It's a very
about it.
collaborative
Great.
approach.
Yeah,
so,
really well
Good
done.
ideas.
Yeah.
All right. Now, we need to move into the executive session to discuss non-related personnel matters to protect the privacy interests of the individuals to be discussed. There are three possible discussion items following under personnel matters. Our first one will be attorney-client privilege, and it'll be about 10 minutes. And so it is 6:50. Is that right, 10 minutes? Okay. So we should be back.
5-minute break.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
so 7:05.
7:05. So we'll be back at 7:05.
Evelyn, we'll recall you from the boardroom.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, I'll move approval for that executive session.
Get a second?
A second.
It's been moved and seconded that we go into executive session. All in favor?
Aye.
We'll be back at 7:05.
We're opening back up for attorney-client privilege executive session, and it is listed for 10 minutes. So, time is it? 7:09.
Let's go 15 minutes.
7:25. 7:25? Okay, 7:25.
So moved.
And we'll include the Director of HR.
And we will include Director of HR in that meeting. We'll dismiss and be returned at 7:25.
Just
One more,
us
two more.
and
One more.
One more?
Habeas
We
Circus.
just need to set personal items. We will be going back into executive session for a number of personnel items, and that time will be about 45 minutes. So we will be back at 8:15. Okay. We'll be back at 8:15.
Okay, Chair. Do we need a motion? And
All in favor?
Oh, aye.
Any opposed? I need a motion. There we go.
So move. Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we go into executive session. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Executive session for about 45 minutes. We'll be back at 8:15.
Any action?
So we don't have to
Please come back sometime. say the excitement of revamping curriculum.
Yeah, right. Some things are more exciting than others.
Ms. Brown?
Okay, I went back and had a cup of hot chocolate. No one else in the world would believe it. There's two, the one for this month in October.
All right, we ready to call this meeting back to order? Call this meeting back to order. And is there any questions or concerns that we need to address at this point?
I move we adjourn.
All right, it's been moved and second. On behalf of the board of Kansas City, Kansas Community College Trustees, I would like to wish everyone, the staff, faculty, students, Kansas City, Kansas in general, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
And a
Christmas.
Happy New Year.
Happy
Merry
New Year.
Christmas.
Meeting adjourned.
We
Oh, I
wish
didn't
you
get
a Merry Christmas.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Stay here. Meeting adjourned.
Good job.
Happy holidays.